Hello, guys. Welcome to Sports Giant. My name is Anurag, and we are joined once again by one of the most recognizable, one of the most beloved voices in football, Mr. Peter Drury. Thank you so much, Peter, for joining us again. It's such a pleasure.
Anurag, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. And I hope, I know the last time we had a conversation, things were a little more haywire. At least we are fortunate that times have changed a little bit. Footballers resume to a great extent. We can say things are almost normal, if not quite there, but it is almost normal. People are coming back. How has it been for you right now? I know the last time what you said was a commentator cannot really complain about what he is having right now because you still, as you mentioned, were very fortunate. But how is it right now? With all these, with crowd coming back again, does this mean the media professionals have a lot more restrictions in terms of precautionary measures and everything?
No. It's only a good thing, Anurag.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to go through all of those precautionary measures before crowds, and we still have to go through them now.
Yeah.
So in that sense, nothing has changed. But whilst I stand by what I said the last time we spoke, that I and others in the industry were very fortunate that we were carrying on working in football and football was continuing through it all. What we've learned since the crowds have come back over the last couple of months, since the start of this domestic English season anyway, we've just been reminded of what we were missing. You know, it's almost as if we had forgotten. We knew somewhere in the dim, distant past these great events with crowds happened, but we'd learnt to live without them. We knew it wasn't as good, but having them back has been a stark reminder of how much, perhaps lazily, we had underestimated the impact and the importance of the crowd. You know, it has been genuinely uplifting. You know, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. From the first night of the season at Brentford against Arsenal, when the teams came out in this small stadium of a newly promoted club, absolutely bouncing right through up to and including Liverpool against Manchester City on Sunday, where again the crowd was absolutely phenomenal. And everywhere I have been, big clubs, small clubs, middle-sized clubs, the atmospheres in the English stadia have been, I think, better than they were pre-COVID because of this level of just thrill at being back there. That might not be the case. It might be that, as I say, I've just forgotten how good it was before. But it has felt absolutely superb.
I think it's also got to do with the fact that fans never thought they would be deprived of going to the stadiums. Now that they're back, they just relish it even more than they do. That's the case, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. It's a kind of pent-up energy, you know, that desperation to get back and be part of it again. And I don't know, I mean, that's a largely optimistic spin on it. I suppose the pessimistic view on it is maybe out there still there's an anxiety, a fear that this thing could be stolen away again at any moment.
Yeah.
You know, if the figures start going in the wrong direction, we could have it taken back from us, this wonderful privilege of going to live sport. So let's enjoy it while we've got it, and it's fantastic.
Let's just hope it doesn't turn out that way. But as you've mentioned, you've been to multiple stadiums and big, small, medium size or whatever. But especially in the last 1 week, last 6-7 days, Peter, I think it has been a very incredible ride for you. You've gone to Paris for the Manchester City game, if I'm not wrong.
Well, I didn't. I did that game from London. Sadly, I wasn't on site for that game. I did commentate on the game, but no, that actually has been one of the ongoing restrictions of the even this sort of semi post-COVID era. For me personally, I've travelled a lot around my own country, but have been very restricted in terms of overseas travel, even within Europe. It would have been possible to go to Paris. In fact, very possible. But the company I was working for on that decided that not to jump through all the hoops that you have to jump through in order to travel internationally, and I respected that. It's a shame because I'd love to be able to say that I was actually there for the Messi goal, but I had to pretend I was there.
That's a bit of a shocker, really, because when we were listening to the Messi commentary, it really felt like we were in the stadium. But yeah, I mean, my question was more along. You had three pretty much big-sized games, especially in the last 6-7 days. The PSG City, let it be Everton, United, City, Liverpool. One had Messi in it, one had Ronaldo in it, and the other was literally the battle of the prime-time giants of the contemporary football in England. So, is there anything different you do for such premium fixtures, like in terms of preparation?
Not really, because a game is a game.
Yeah.
Those weren't the only games I did. I did Tottenham's game in the Europa Conference League against the champions of Slovenia, which is a very low-profile game, really, but needs absolutely as much preparation. In a sense, more because people don't know about a little team from Slovenia, whereas they know everything you need to know about Liverpool and Manchester City and Manchester United and so on. No, I mean, the exercise of preparation, apart from all the facts and figures, is, I always say, to allow a little bit of mental breathing space and just sit down and allow yourself to ask the question, what's this one all about? What is the essence of this game? And whether it's a very big game or a very small game, that question still needs asking. That is, when you utter your first sentence as a commentator, you want it to reflect in one hit, what's this about? What's at the core of this? If you were a fan of either side, how would you be feeling going into it? And if you're a neutral, what's the reason to watch this football match? And that applies to PSG against Manchester City, just as it does to the smallest of games.
Indeed. Also, Peter, we all work on social media, so we sort of tend to notice what is getting the reaction and what is not. And I must admit, I have not seen reaction towards your commentary as positively and as much in number as I've seen for your commentary on the United Newcastle game, which obviously the game was less of a headline than the person who returned to England. It got everyone on social media talking, and as I said, it sort of had. I think after that Manola's goal, this is the most I've seen people talk about your commentary. Can you just talk us through that day, like how the environment was that day?
Well, it was a remarkable day, in that however much we thought we knew about Ronaldo, and however famous we knew he was, we discovered that it was actually on a different level. I really thought I'd more or less seen it all. But walking up to Old Trafford that day and seeing the sheer volume of Ronaldo's 7 shirts was extraordinary. Seeing the extent to which one guy utterly altered the mood of that football club was honestly remarkable. I mean, Manchester United always have been and will always be, probably the biggest club in England, regardless of whether they're the champions of England or whatever. I mean, Liverpool fans would dispute that, of course they would, but Manchester United is a big global phenomenon, and you wouldn't have thought it would be possible for one individual to impact on that phenomenon in the way that he did before the game, and to create a mood around the club, which of course is 7-8 years now since they were champions, and there's this sense of, will it ever happen again? And that day you suddenly thought, gosh, this is possible, this might happen. He created, whether it was false or real, who knows, but he created a mood in there where the crowd had convinced themselves that Manchester United could beat everybody now, and of course, then being him, he did it. He went and scored 2 goals, and it was just crazy. It was a beautiful day, and the sense of happiness was fantastic. And sport is meant to be fun, and sport's meant to be happy. It's not meant to be a miserable business. We're here to enjoy it, and he made it thoroughly enjoyable. And you can be as cynical as you like about the commercialism of sport and the fact that he's just there to sell shirts, and he's there because of the pound and dollar signs. But honestly, I say again, sport is entertainment and it's show business, and he is utterly entertaining and he is show business. And it was just a fantastic show.
Indeed. Has anyone come to you and said that your commentary on that game was brilliant? Or how do you usually react when people come and compliment you or just go gaga about any of your commentaries?
Well, I'm not very good at it, really. I listen, it's lovely. Please don't get me wrong. I don't want to be disingenuous. It is very, very nice when people say nice things.
Yeah.
Just as it's not nice when people say not nice things. I tend to, my default position, which is utterly sincere, is I was just lucky to be there. That's all. I didn't do it. It wasn't me crossing the white line with 7 on my Manchester United shirt. It was him. I was just the guy who happened to have a really good seat in the stand and a microphone in my hand. And so all I'm trying to do, and some days are better than others in this respect, is reflect what I'm seeing. And so you tend, not always, but you tend to receive compliments, or at least be noticed one way or another, if something remarkable happens, whether it be an incredible winning goal or whether it be the return of a superstar. And it wasn't me who made the remarkable happen. It was Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United. And so I was just the guy fortunate enough to be there and to witness it.
Absolutely. And so again, going back a few months, England very nearly had that silverware they were chasing for so long under Southgate. That was it was quite a spectacle, wasn't it? Especially a lot of games happening across in different parts. And I'm sure, I know you've been in the industry for so long. It's sort of a silly question sometimes to ask to people who've been in the industry for so long. But does it ever get? Does your love for the national team ever get in the way of your commentary?
No, and it really doesn't. Honestly, it's the same with club football. And you could ask this question of any commentator. Yeah. You are two people. One of you is the supporter and one of you is the professional commentator. And if I turn up to a game to support my club or my country, then that's who I am. I'm a private individual and I can shout and scream as much as I want. If I turn up to commentate on them, then I've got to reflect that. And I've got to reflect that there's another team playing. And particularly if you're doing a commentary, as I generally am, for a global audience as opposed to a national audience, you have to understand that, particularly in the global audience, a lot of them want the team that isn't England to win. So it would be ridiculous. I mean, I suppose the best example would be the World Cup semi-final against Croatia, which was a thoroughly exciting game from an English perspective. And somewhere deep in my soul, of course, I wanted England to win it. But you really do bury that. It disappears entirely. Your job is to make sure you're recognising the players of both teams and saying the right thing and keeping up with it. And there really isn't room. I can only speak personally, but there isn't room. I don't have the mental capacity to deal with both aspects. There's not enough space in my brain to care about who's winning as well as to accurately reflect the game. So the caring about who's winning, you just have to leave behind. Which isn't to say, by the way, that one day if England win the World Cup, I won't be, popping champagne corks or something like that.
Absolutely. You're well within your rights, Drew. And very nearly England had that. Jordan Pickford had such a wonderful game. He all very nearly pulled it off. How did England react to that defeat? Because as we can totally imagine, sport is such an integral part of India as well. We can keep speaking about it with as much passion as anyone else in the world. So we can understand one thing, that it was as heartbreaking as it could have gotten because of how close the game went. So how did just England react to that defeat?
Well, England reacted variously, and I suppose in the end quite philosophically. I'm sure you don't particularly want to get into this. As you know, actually at Wembley that night, sadly, it was a pretty ugly scene.
Yeah.
And that's a shame and not representative, certainly, of the team that represented England. and nor of most decent folk. But sadly, the actual event at Wembley wasn't particularly pleasant. But beyond that, if you're talking about the reaction to a major event and so nearly winning it, I think it was almost generational. I mean, I have sons in their 20s, and I was with one of them that night, and he just collapsed and curled up in a ball and couldn't bear it. It was too much, because I've seen England come close and fail so many times. You're almost chuckling at, here we go. We wouldn't know how to react if we won. And that's not to understate it. I mean, we were all massively disappointed. We were massively disappointed. At the same time, quite proud that our team had reached the final. We haven't reached many finals.
And defeated Germany.
Exactly. So it was great to be there. And I suppose, in the cold light of day, you reflect and you think, well, we lost it on a penalty kick. We basically matched everyone we played, and they beat us on penalties. And there you are. You have to be philosophical. I say, and I'm only half joking, honestly, I'm not sure that England would know how to react if we actually won one of these things, because we've got so used to this cycle every 2 years of building ourselves up as the potential winners and then just falling short, or whatever. In the old days, it used to be the quarterfinals. We were a quarterfinal team. Off we go, lose to Portugal on penalties or something like that, and move on to the next one. So the prospect of winning one, it feels like this intangible thing just out of reach the whole time. But what Gareth Southgate has done, to his immense credit, is made us appreciate that actually it is just about possible. And we do have a really good team. And we just might. We might win the World Cup. We might. Then again, we might not.
Yes, I mean, England have definitely opened up that possibility. I mean, you lose a final on a penalty kick. I mean, on another day you could be winning it as well. So definitely that. Also, the last time, something we wanted to ask you about, but it did not fit our time frame. It was about Pro Evolution Soccer, which currently has been rebranded as eFootball. This is, I believe, your first experience with the e-gaming sector as a commentator in the e-gaming sector. How was this?
Well, in a way, Anurag, I'm a little bit uncomfortable talking about this, because it's something only because it's something I do, but it's something I don't really understand. Because it's I don't play these games. I'm a football commentator, and so my knowledge is limited. All I know is that over a period of several weeks, I record it, and it's quite hard work. Shouting a lot of names and going through pages and pages of various, of football's multiple variables. Covering every base, and it's quite a lot of hard work, actually. And I'm not really aware of the impact it makes. I mean, I know obviously FIFA is the big opponent of this game. They're the two that are out in the marketplace, and a lot of people love one and not the other, and some love the other and not the one, and so be it. And it kind of goes over my head, and then another year comes around and I go and record it again. So that is a very, very honest answer to the question. It's sort of, I do a very functional job for it, and move on.
That's lovely. Again, Peter, once again, I know we did not ask you for a lot of time this time around, but as always, every time you're around, it makes our day. It was a lovely conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anurag, really good to talk to you, and good to meet you and your friends again. Thank you, and good luck with this. I think it's a really good thing you do.
Thank you. It's lovely.